Hello and welcome to another edition of Mailbag. What is Mailbag? Well, Mailbag is a feature of the channel where you guys leave lots of comments on the channel and I attempt to answer those comments, or if I can't answer those comments, I throw it out to you guys who have more knowledge on some of this stuff than I do. So let's get into the first mailbag of this session. Remember, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Go over to Instagram and follow me there. Go over to Facebook, follow me there. That's where the normal notices are. And consider becoming a Patreon. Love this, love the name of this channel or user. The next one comes from Rock in Christmas. Not the Mel and Kim song, by the way. And this was in response to how to trigger multiple tones from the library cards on your Roland U-110. A video I did way back in March 2016. And this person, male or female, don't know. This video is a must for anybody who plans to use expansion cards and needs to create patches that use the expansion sounds. The manual really fails to explain this clearly, but this video does a nice job. The built-in patches on the U-110 only utilise the built-in sounds. If you want to utilise the expansion cards, you have to build new patches presets and utilise them. That also means replacing factory patches with your own patches. I think the key thing is to understand is which output you want to use, which determines how the polyphony is handled and how many parts per patch. Then, as you so nicely show, program the expansion cards into the parts, write them to the new patch, boom. I think it is the easiest way for someone to do this is to export all the patches or certain patches to sysx, capture it with MIDI-OX or similar, then play back your collection of sysx to perform quicker programming of the U-110, depending on the expansion cards you have installed at the time. Yeah, this is a really interesting subject. I've said the U-110 and the U-220 are kind of forgotten Ropplers, but they give you a lot of sound and a lot of sound canvas for very little outlay. Yes, it's probably going to cost you if you want to get all the cards, but actually in terms of expanding your sound library via MIDI and not using polyphony on a keyboard, the U-110 and the U-220 are very, very good sound sources. And I also agree that back in the day, Roland did not make the programming on these units particularly well thought through. It is very cumbersome. I put a little cumbersome in my response, but I have to say it's probably very cumbersome. And like most Roland manuals of the time, written by a programmer, not a musician. What was really required was a series of flowcharts that kind of walked you through the process. But then, that's what YouTube is all about. But thank you for the feedback on the video itself. I also agree, should you back up the default patch sysx before you start? Because if you get it wrong and muck it up, then you're going to be cursing and swearing that you didn't do it. So you should create a default patch set for your U-110, U-220 before you start changing the factory preset patches, because if you do then cock it up, you can go back to a known state and start again. Otherwise you will end up with a huge amount of frustration. I put minimal frustration, said no, it's a huge amount of frustration trying to get back to where you were. And I tell you, it's the U-110 and U-220 patches, while they are available on the net, a lot of them won't load. Don't know why. I have tried loading some of them onto my devices and they won't load, which is why when I did get a working set, I actually created my own backups like I do for all this stuff, which is now sitting on my backup cloud drive. So should I cock it up in the future, then I can just reload them. Now the other thing is, and I haven't got one actually, if I'm brutally honest. I'm sure I did have one, but I can't find it. I've actually gone through the software library fairly recently looking for it. But there was a patch manager for this instrument. But I can't find it, and when I actually did a search on Google, and admittedly it was a very, very quick search on Google, I didn't spend an awful lot of time searching, it didn't come up in the first couple of pages of results for some reason. But, you know, very, very good answer. Thanks for the feedback. This next one comes from Gary Robinson. Next question is related to also a huge Genesis fan for over 40 years. A mailbag I did in June 2023. And Gary writes, completely off topic. However, it just occurred to me that the release of the AIRA Compact S1 tweak synth, and I wondered how long it would be before Roland start releasing the TB303, TR808 and TR909, etc. in Roland AIRA Compact format. I'm already considering buying the S1 tweak synth as a modified SH101 that has its own power source and can be plugged into the MX1 is too hard to resist. I can envisage those classic machines being released in an AIRA Compact format with the cases being styled and coloured like the original machines. Bearing in mind that Roland is heavily driven by their bean counters, I wouldn't be surprised if this happens in the near future. Cheers, Gary. Well, they have released these things in boutique, but I do kind of agree with what you're saying. This is really not innovation, more recycling and repackaging in a different form factor, and Roland seemed to be doing a lot of that. What I will say, this may be controversial with some members of the community, is kind of that's what Behringer are doing at the moment. And a lot of people sort of get really upset with Behringer cloning stuff, but that's what they're doing, and when they do it, they add new features while staying fairly faithful to the original concept. I got hold of an RD6 the other day, and Gary, the actual person who has left this comment on the channel, has lent me his 606, which is what the RD6 is. Behringer have done a very, very good job. That's all I'm going to say. The videos are coming. Whereas I see this kind of just as stripping down the original into a format that can be sold to the hip beat makers on the go. As you said in a different comment, controls do make this style of instrument limited, but it's cheap enough to be fun, and cheap many times means many units means profit. And as you say, Roland are a bean accounting or driven by the bean counters, so this may be something. And before people jump on me, I believe that there are places in the market for such devices, but personally I cannot see how I would ever use them. I can see how I would use some of the Behringer machines. I do use the RD8, I do use the RD9, I've just started playing with the RD6, and I can see how I can use all of those, but I'm not sure how the S1 tweak synthy type concept would work in my workflow.